What's up, YouTube? It's your boy J-Indianajones, J-Indy Intellect. Y'all see my silhouette. But let's get to the topic. More humans born with an extra artery as part of microevolution phenomenon. Right? They say the stunning findings were part of a study in the Journal of Anatomy. Scroll down a little bit. Humans are undergoing a microevolution resulting in babies being born without wisdom teeth and with an extra artery in their arm, according to Australian researchers. And we scroll a little bit more. The scientists believe humans are evolving faster than at any point in the past 250 years, with more babies coming out with shorter faces, smaller jaws, and extra bones in their legs and feet. And they basically just re-say the same thing. You can read more. But besides reading more about this study, what we're gonna do? What up, y'all? This me. It's your boy. Probably can't see me too good. That sun right there. But what we're gonna talk about is microevolution in a way, because that's basically all this is talking about. Microevolution. Like, what is microevolution, right? Has anybody studied microevolution or ever heard of microevolution? Well, give me a second here. Let me pull it up for y'all, and then we'll check that out real quick, and then we're gonna talk about it as I take a little quick walk like I usually do. So let's see, microevolution. Boom. Here we go. Microevolution. Evolutionary change within a species or small group of organisms, especially over a short period. That's the quick spit definition. Let's see what else we say. Microevolution is the change in all frequencies. Somebody please pronounce that word for me. ALLELE. I'm sorry that I'm not a great language arts student. Oh well. That occurs over time within the population. This change is due to 4 different processes: mutation, selection, gene flow, and genetic drift. These changes happen over a relatively short amount of time compared to the changes termed macroevolution. So we can microevolution at Wikipedia. Well, look, watch this. How about we just do this? Microevolutions versus macroevolution. Let's get a little deeper. Microevolution happens on a small scale within a single population, while macroevolution happens on a scale that transcends the boundaries of a single species. Despite their differences, evolution at both of these levels relies on the same established mechanisms of evolutionary change: mutation. So how about we just look up mutation, and we can go from here. The action or processes of mutating. The mutation of cooking into a form of show business. It also says, oh, here go the good definition: the changing of the structure of a gene, resulting in variant form that may be transmitted to subsequent generations, caused by the alteration of single base units in DNA, or the deletion, insertion, or rearrangement of larger sections of genes or chromosomes. Mutation is ultimately the only way in which new variations enter the species. Alright, so let's talk. What's up, y'all? Go Lakers, right? Alright, anyway, back to the subject. Alright, so that study is saying that kids nowadays has been born with an extra artery and smaller faces, and jaw lines, and no wisdom teeth. The first thing I looked up, because I checked this out yesterday, just late on making the video actually, and I should be more detailed, but look, I'm at the park. I just got through hooping right there with some youngins. I'm just, you know what I'm saying, just having fun, just walking around, exercising, doing me. But ultimately, I came out here to do videos. But when I just showed y'all what I just showed y'all as far as the definitions go, especially for the microevolution, when it said the 4 processes and said mutation was like one of them, when they brought up the 4 processes, when you actually go to the Wikipedia definition, in parentheses it breaks down, it says naturally or artificial. So basically they saying a mutation could occur by artificial changes to food, artificial changes to climate, artificial changes to anything can alter, as well as natural events can alter. You know, economics change. If all the flies die, that's going to change something. If all the bees die, that's going to change something. So that's another variation of a way of the process for it to be proceed and processed. So we get to talking about this, and people might think, oh, that's, I don't know, which one is it, Darwinism, or that's like one of those philosophies, some theories that they came up with, saying man came from this or man came from that, right? Yet knowing where man came from is basically, how should I put this? It's really no point to really pinpoint where man come from, right? Of course we got things, the creator, and then there's another subject within itself, the creator versus him upstairs versus God versus Jesus versus Jehovah versus the Most High versus Allah. Like, it's more names, you know, Krishna, Radha Krishna, you know, but it's more names, more words. However, they all relate to one, right? That's just like the part of separation. That's the part of breaking up, by us continuing to kind of live by that mind frame, right? And it's funny, like I've been listening to Alan Watts big time. Like, for instance, like, check out my scenario right here. Got a bunch of leaves, right? You see this leaf? This means nothing to most people. This stick right here, this means nothing to most people, right? But check out my ugly fingernail. You see that? These leaves and these sticks exist just as well as a fingernail does. And its purpose in life is equal to the purpose of life of your fingernail. For instance, you know, why do we got fingernails? Right? Well, why do we got leaves? Why we got rocks? Mind you, without a rock, what would you stand on? Seeming that Earth is simultaneously rock, right? When you think of Earth, you think of rock. Anybody ever played Pokemon? Well, if you was an Earth trainer, you had rock Pokemon, right? Geodude and Onyx, you know what I'm saying? It's all as one as it's one as all. Everything exists. So, seeming that it's the possibility of change should let you know that it's always ever been change. A lot of people kind of think that everything's set in stone, and it is as it is, and it will be as it will be. And it started right there and it finishes right here. That's what so many people scared to death. Even for the people who say they're not scared to death, shout out to Alan Watts again. You have people who say they're not scared to death. They say, I just don't want to die a horrible way, that's all. Now, come on, man. If you ain't scared to death, why you have to throw in the 2 cents that you would not want to die a horrible way? Like, most people, death to them is abyss or a heaven or a hell or somewhere where you can't connect no more. You're not in tune anymore. You're lost. So most people are scared. It's the most thing that people don't get. Most people are scared of a lot of things that never happened. That's what builds anxiety, though. If you ain't know that, like, you don't know what your teacher gonna say about you not doing your work. You know you didn't do your work, but now you contemplating and thinking of every which way that you possibly can of what scenario may occur and what type of trouble you may be into. So you pre-program yourself to be scared and pre-program yourself to be disciplined without just really having a spontaneous outlook on it. As far as I didn't do my work, I'm not going to think about not doing my work, and I'm not going to think about what my teacher got to say. I didn't do my work, and I'm going to go to school. And that's it. Some might have that, and one person might see that and call that person careless. Right? I've learned, and I need to learn more in Chinese languages and the Tao, but things like careless means a different than the careless in English. Careless in a certain Chinese dialect will be different saying careless in English. So, hypothetically speaking, if one says careless, and that means care less, right? So I can care less if that happened. Yet we would think that's a bad thing because that person isn't caring, right? But in all honesty, care is something that you do that goes along with wind. You don't see wind, and wind don't win. Wind is just wind, right? Have you ever seen wind be wind? You can't say wind blows. Wind don't blow. The blowing comes from wind. If you see what I mean. And if you don't, ask yourself that question and think about it. Are you breathing or are you breathe? Are you thinking or are you think? That just goes to show, like, when you think to say something, do you actually think to say that? Or do you think to say that? So before it come out your mouth, it's the thought in your head. And if so, before that thought got in your head, who thought for that thought to get in your head? For you to think it, for you to say it. So you find out that things actually change and continue. Like, it's not just a start, then a finish. How you doing? It's just a continuance of what's already is. So when we talk about this micro and macro evolution, it's just something that's already is. So when we talk about humans and nanotechnology and AI, artificial intelligence, alien invasion, microchips, frequencies, we speak of all these things, vibrations, right? Well, everything that you perceive, being that everything that you see, your perception, it's all in the back of your retina, in the back of your head, right? But it's projected in the front of you. And we take the outer world, meaning the outer body, right? The outer body experience, because it's not within, it's without the body. Something you don't see. You might see your hands and your arms and your feet and your legs, but you don't see your face. But then you look in the mirror, which is basically an illusion. You look in the mirror to see the illusion. Yet, if everything's percepted out the mind, if the mind is so great, yet you don't even know if the mind is in the head or out the head, because you can't see the head nor the mind with your own eyes itself. So everything that you're seeing, if everything you're seeing is within the head, but the eyes is on the outside of what you call the head, but you only see from what's within inside of the head. So everything you project on the outside is already inside you. So how can I simultaneously meet up with somebody and they can see me and I can see them, right? And we can see the same thing. That must mean we're attached all together inside. And then we project our insides to go hand in hand with the outsides. It's real difficult to kind of grasp it. Once you grasp it, you get deeper into it and you look at things a lot differently. Like for instance, I look at these trees and we see a tree. I see that squirrel, right? We see a tree. Yet, we say, oh, the tree stands still. It grows. We know it gets taller, right? We know it got leaves, right? They fall every year. But to us, this don't exist. And that's all based off of perception, right? Right? So I'm touching this tree from the outside of me. Yet, I might have thought in my head to touch the tree, but how did my hands get on the tree? Like, do you think to use your hands, or do your hands move and then you think that, yeah, I just moved my hand? Like, how does that actually work? What is that? Well, that is you. And that's some of the realest you will ever perceive. Because most perception is illusion based on the inside of what's going on in our head. And you know, that's based off of cells, you know, doing their little thing. Got optic nerves doing their little thing. And all these things that's inside of our body that send these vibrations left and right, right and left. And the vibration basically being light. The motion of light is the vibration. So macro evolution is something that's natural, that happens with natural and unnatural things that just happens. It's not meant to be and not meant to be. It just happens. Once we understand whom we are and what we are, knowing that whom we are and what we are is all, you will understand that these scientists coming up with this macro evolution, trying to make people think that people are just evolving to something else, really is not so. But it just is. What's the difference? Is there any difference in a bug, an insect? Because we step on bugs and insects every day. And then somebody say, hey, well, why did you step on the ant? And the person say, oh, because it's just a bug. Yet if it's just a bug, it holds a name, right? It holds an identity, a title, a persona, which is a mask, right? But you can state that item as being a bug, or you can state it as being an insect, which is hand in hand the same, or you can actually call it an ant for what it is. It could be a fire ant. Are you just gonna call it an ant, or are you gonna call it a fire ant for what its title is? If we can do things like this with bugs and insects, why come we don't do that with humans? It's not a human that you kill. You killed Bob Doe, right? And the reason you did it was based off a right of a wrong principle that you hold that ideology of. But what's right from wrong? For one can't be right without knowing what wrong is, and one can't be wrong without knowing what right is. So, meaning that they go hand in hand with each other. So if you do something good, something bad will happen. You do something bad, something good will happen. That's just the way the cookie crumbles. The whole thing is your perception, though, because your perception is what's making that good or bad. And since your perception makes that good or bad, your perception is what draws that energy as well. Besides having something that's just balance happen, besides just living, besides thinking like, oh, I'm breathing and I'm breathing really hard because I was running, and then now I'm out of breath, so I'm breathing hard, versus just running and you breathe. We put emphasis on things that aren't necessarily important. I might have made this topic 7 subjects, but overall, I mean, just think of your life, or just live. You can't say I'm living life. How could you live life if life is living? So if you live, that's life, right? So how could there be a living if living is just life? But we could say somebody dies and that's a part of life, right? So if somebody dies and that's a part of life, but then we say living is a part of life, so as well as somebody dying and that's being a part of life, you can also say somebody being born is also a part of life, right? Yet we call the born living and the dead the non-living, right? But if you're dead, you don't have life, right? But we said death is a part of life. So how is that the same and opposite, but being different, yet which is all one? So we sit here and acknowledge that it's one, but we don't acknowledge that it's really one, because we give us this difference and we point it out based off of the perception that we have. And the perception is based off the retina from what we see, and that's just based off of the signals that your cells is optimizing and they letting out, right? But now seeing that macro and micro evolution occurs artificially and naturally, we can always say that the state of mind that we have was altered, right? So having an altered state of mind is basically saying that it's an altered state of mind is pretty much saying that, what's up, bro? That, oh, I'm losing track. I'm sorry. I'm seeing too many people, y'all. But an altered state of mind is going to be on my next video. I'm sorry. I had to cut this short. I love y'all. Peace, love, and abundance. I'll be right back.